before Wendy chimes in, Vinny, went on first take, when we say the word fluid, we say fluid. You say fluid. Just Wendy will teach you. Wendy teach you. You understand what I'm saying? You say fluid. Just so you know that. Go ahead, Wendy. Go ahead, Wendy. Go ahead, Wendy.
Vince, you were dismissing them before this. That's a different discussion. I don't think this could have gone better for Tatum and the Celtics. Okay, now if he had looked shaky and rusty and he had started 2-15 shooting, I would have been on here this morning, Shay, saying, "Hey, take it easy. Don't overreact to a bad performance. Give him some time." So I'm going to say the same thing. Take it easy. Let's not just assume that all of a sudden, because he's looked relatively good, that the Celtics are going to run away with this. Having said this, I was having a difficult time over the last month or two trying to discern the difference between these top four teams in the Eastern Conference. And I agree with what you said on this, Vince, that it's going to come down to health, and it's going to come down to matchups, and it's going to come down to who has a good shooting streak. Because yesterday, for example, the Cavs went ice cold in the second quarter of this game, and some of it was the Celtics defense, some of it was they just missed shots. But Tatum, guys, he looks pretty good. Like one of the things I was watching was, does he go into his step back game? Because the step back is what he hurt that Achilles on. Right out of the gate on Friday, he went to the step back. Now, I'm sure he would never have come back if he didn't trust it, but I just wanted to see it. They're not letting us watch these practices, and I thought he looked good. I thought his explosion to the basket looked relatively good. He was able to get to the foul line. Now, let me say, tomorrow night, the Celtics are playing a very interesting game in San Antonio. I didn't feel that the Cavs targeted Tatum. The Cavs had some different things in their game plan. They were going at Sam Hauser, for example, coming out of the gate. They had Sam Merrill as the defender on Tatum to start the game. I will be interested to see tomorrow, after the Spurs, who are maybe the hottest team in the league right now, have now watched Jason Tatum play 2 games in 54 minutes, if they go at him a little bit and test him. So that's the next thing I want to see. A great week coming up for Jason Tatum at San Antonio on Tuesday, at Oklahoma City on Thursday. Let's revisit this at the end of the week, guys. But I couldn't be more pleased with how good Tatum looked, and I definitely have Boston at the top of my list in the Eastern Conference right now.
I agree with you. I think they got to be at the top of the list right now, considering the fact that we see Jason Tatum on the court. He comes out. He comes out in his first game Friday night, electrified the crowd at TD Garden, and dropped a double-double against Cleveland last night. He scores 14 points in his first 12 minutes of action, balled out in the first quarter before going cold and then hitting a couple of shots late, to help seal the deal. But the bottom line is this: when you look at the Boston Celtics, Vucevic is out, and he's going to be out for about another month or so. He's going to be back in the lineup, of course. You got Tatum back in the lineup. You've seen what Pritchard has done for you. You see what Derek Brown can do for you. Jaylen Brown is an MVP candidate. Joey Mazzulla, as far as I'm concerned, is a favorite for Coach of the Year honors as well. When you look at all of the stuff that Boston has going for them, you can't say enough about what you're seeing from them. I would say this, though. I'm not going to judge Tatum too harshly against San Antonio. He clearly still is trying to get his legs under him. He hasn't really been tested yet where we've seen whether or not he can provide any lift or whatever. And Wendy and Vinny, I think that it's going to be a couple of weeks before we see something like that unfold. We just got to make sure that he's going to stay healthy. Wish him nothing but the best, and we'll go from there. To Cleveland, I will say this. Ice cold, yes, it's just the second quarter. 0 of 14 from three-point range, 4 of 25 shooting. Just 2 points in the first 7 minutes and 21 seconds of the second quarter, and finished the whole quarter scoring just 10 points. Let me tell you why that's a bad sign. It contributes to the narrative. The Boston Celtics are coming in the house. By the way, they've already beaten you twice this year before they played you yesterday, okay? Then they beat you again. In all 3 meetings you've gone up against them, they've taken you out. We're looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers with Harden, with Donovan Mitchell back in the lineup. Yeah, he's been out for a few games, missed 4 games or whatever with the groin injury. But the bottom line, he still gave you 30. But you found a way to look at Cleveland and say to yourself, same questions about these brothers. We know they can play. We know they got the talent, but that little oomph is missing when you think about the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's missing, and it can't be missing against Cleveland. I'm sorry, it can't be missing against Boston. It can't be missing against Detroit. It wasn't missing against the New York Knicks, and it can't come playoff time. This is the problem when you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. The fact that the questions that we have coming into these matchups, we depart from those games with the same damn questions, which means that's the answer that we're looking for. Y'all ain't ready. And so they're going to have to show us otherwise. Otherwise, the moves that they made is going to be for naught.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
For the first time since 2019-2020, the Celtics swept the regular season series against the Cavs. You know who had the oomph? The Celtics. We stay in the East because the Knicks didn't have much working for them against the Lakers yesterday. They're on their West Coast road trip. No LeBron, no problem for Los Angeles, who never trailed against the Knicks. Luka put up 35 points, gave them room to catch up in the fourth, but New York just could not capitalize. The Knicks got 0 points on 6 shot attempts from Mikal Bridges in 27 minutes of work. 8 of 34 from 3 did the Knicks go against the Lakers. Is this a bad game or a bad sign for the Knicks, Steven?
Well, listen, you know what? You could say it's just a bad game, but damn it, I'm a Knicks fan, so we're going to keep it a buck. It's a bad sign. It's a bad sign. I've been seeing a few bad signs for the New York Knicks this year. I saw a bad sign in the 3 meetings they had against the Detroit Pistons. I saw a bad sign yesterday. I saw a bad sign the other day when they went up against Cleveland. Vinny and Wendy, I am not happy. I am not happy at all. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm very concerned about the Knicks. And what we're not going to do is with 2 dudes who do an exceptional job covering the NBA, okay? What we're not going to do is sit here and lie to the American public. We're not going to soft pedal this, all right? When you went up against the Detroit Pistons, they beat you like you stole something. They whipped your living ass on 2 occasions. They beat you by 30 the first time. They were up by 40 the second time, okay? And then, obviously, they come to the Garden without a front line of Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Durham because they were both suspended, and they beat you again with Cade Cunningham looking like the second coming of Steph Curry, LeBron, Kobe, MJ, and all of them using the Garden as their playground, dropping 42 and 13 without a front line. So we saw this from the New York Knicks, okay? And here's where we have to be honest about it, fellas. And this is where I'm getting to the real portion of all of this. This is not the same team under Tom Thibodeau. It's not the same team. They are softer. They are softer. You understand? Dante DiVincenzo, I was just talking about it with Alan Hahn in the hallway before he departed after doing a great job on Get Up this morning. And when you had a cat like Dante DiVincenzo who was a protector of Jalen Brunson, who was willing to be feisty, who was ready to go out there and fight and what have you. You don't have that right now. What you have is a very talented New York Knicks team. But when you look at a Detroit Pistons, to use that as an example, the attitude is, all right, fine, what's going to happen when we punch you in your face? What you going to do about it? And that's how they treat the Knicks, okay? That's how Cleveland treated the Knicks when the Knicks rolled up into Cleveland, Ohio, okay, off of Lake Erie. These are the problems that I have, all right? These are the problems that I have. I'm looking at a New York Knicks team with Mikal Bridges, who can play, all right, but he's not an all-star, but you gave up 4 unprotected first-round picks for him. I still blame Jalen Brunson for that. It's the only thing I blame Jalen Brunson for in his entire tenure with the New York Knicks, because he is a star. We appreciate him. We love him. He is the face of the franchise. But you got to be with Leon Rose and Dolan and those boys. You got to say, no, we can't give up that many assets. I know I want my boys here. I want him here. I want DiVincenzo here. I want Josh Hart here. I want it to be Villanova, East, Madison Square Garden. But you know what? At what price? And then I'm looking at the New York Knicks make mistakes yesterday at the Crypto.com arena. And I'm seeing Mike Brown, calm, cool, and collected, putting his hands in his pocket, chilling out. You know, Thibodeau would have been all in there behind. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about here. The feistiness, the grit, the attitude. What we saw from the New York Knicks, they were like the little engine that could. They were like the cardiac kids. They were the teams that looked like they had a little something extra that they were pulling out of themselves just to make life a living hell for you. And then a miracle happened, and they went and they beat Boston, not just in Game 1, but in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference semifinals last year, which just changed the trajectory of everything, was because we all thought that Boston was going to smoke them, and that's not what happened. So you go through all of that, and then you change all of this stuff. The coach, some of the players, the personnel, you just look at them right now and you're like, this is not the same Knicks team. It's a damn good basketball team, talented enough to beat almost anybody in the NBA. But that little something extra, that little grit that you need, you don't see it from them at all. And that's why we're looking at Boston right now, and we're looking at Detroit right now as the 2 teams as the favorites in the Eastern Conference instead of the New York Knicks.
I mean, heck, that was part of their identity, it feels like, last year. And now it's really has not been. Go ahead, Wendy.
You could be right about all that. We could get to the end of the season and that little edge may not be there. or we could get to the end of the season and the what this roster has been built to do could take over. I would just say you can't make that decision based on yesterday. There were three things going against the Knicks in this game. Vince, you were there. Was it a 12:30 start Pacific, or was it 1 o'clock?
Yeah,
12:30?
yeah.
It was 12:30.
12:30,
which is
LA,
3:30
Stephen A.
Eastern Standard Time.
How are you on Sunday afternoon at 12:30 in LA? Last Sunday, we saw the Spurs come into the Garden, noon start. They slept, walked. It happens. 2, spring forward.
Oh, please.
Spring forward, 12:30 start. Right off the bat, we got problems. Now, you can argue and say, well, Tibbs would have been in them and not let them get, and he'd have been at, getting them down at the breakfast room at 6 a.m. You may be right about that, but I'm just going to say to you, 12:30 start in LA on spring forward day. That's number one. Number two. Number 3, LeBron James ruled out in the pregame. Now, this is not a commentary on LeBron, but when LeBron doesn't play and Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic do, the Lakers are a better team. Now, J.J. Redick might say to you, give me more time. We're getting better with that trio. And the numbers say that that is true. However, the numbers say that when Luka and Reeves play together, the Lakers are a really good team. They're better defensively and they're better offensively. When all three of them play together, they're just kind of an average to below average team. And so when those three things happen, and look, Stephen A., I don't know what got into Luka yesterday. Luka was taking charges. In fact, at one point, he got run over, probably should have gotten a charge on that play. And then when he didn't get the call, he looked over at the ref and gave him this, for which he's probably going to be fined a bunch of money today. But it's better than getting a technical, because if the referee had seen him and given him a tech, he'd have got suspended. But the fact that Luka was trying to play defense, and by the way, the Lakers' defense has been improving, and that this was all these things going against him, I didn't like the chances for the Knicks at all yesterday. And so I'm not going to overreact to a Sunday afternoon spring forward performance.
If you're not going to overreact to that, then also, guys, for me, Friday night in Denver, Stephen A., what did you think of that? Because they took down the Denver Nuggets in one of the most impressive performances of the season against Jokic and before Jamal Murray got hurt. And we're going to talk about Denver a little bit later. But that's a championship team that you took out on the road. So I don't want to overreact to what I saw yesterday. Like Wendy said, spring forward, LA, all the other things, you're on the road. I don't consider LA a championship team. Maybe the Knicks took them lightly. But Stephen A., here's the thing, and when you talk about the Knicks and what they were last year, I don't want you to get caught up in the emotion of what you're seeing, the emotion of them losing to Detroit. Because here's the numbers. Since January 15th, they're the best defense in the league. Since January 15th, they've elevated themselves to being a top 10 defense. Last year, Stephen A., they were 15th. Last year, middle of the road, that elevated themselves in the playoffs. So while I understand what you're saying about how they look against Detroit and how they looked yesterday, the numbers say that this is a more cohesive defensive unit, and they are putting it together with a hiccup that happened yesterday. Now, if you have concerns about Jalen Brunson and his shooting, and they're lacking shot creation, and Karl Towns is not getting as involved and playing as fluidly as he played last year, I'm 100% with you. If you are telling me, man, they shut down Jalen Brunson, they have nobody else to create shots, the defense doesn't look right when they don't have their offense right, Stephen, I'm 100% with you. But I would say this. I think this is a small blip. I still think the Knicks have as good of a chance as anybody in getting to the NBA Finals. Stephen A., don't overreact. It's fluid.
See, right there. See, that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the kind of stuff that's going to get you banned from this damn show.